It's time for another book haul and the official end to my 2024 book buying ban, if ever there was one. Hello book friends, I'm Jen and welcome to my reading life. I'm back today with I hope, fairly quick little book haul. I went last week to Half Price Books and found a few little gems hidden there. And then I also was at the library and swung into the library bookstore and found a couple of things there as well. And I thought I would come on and share them with you so that then I can shelve them because I've been keeping them piled up waiting to film this video. Let's just dive right into the book, shall we? I will start off with the books that I found at Half Price Books. And first up are two books by the same author, an author that I love and have enjoyed in the past. And the first one is actually a book I've read, and that is Circle of Friends by Maeve Binchy. I love this book, loved the movie. This is actually one of the few books where I saw the movie first and then read the book, but both are equally wonderful, and I think you can't go wrong with reading this book and then watching the movie. And of course they are different things, but I think they're both wonderful. If you've never read Circle of Friends, I will just give you a little bit of the synopsis. It began with Benny Hogan and Eve Malone growing up inseparable in the village of Knockglen Benny, the only child yearning to break free from her adoring parents. Eve, the orphaned offspring of a convent handyman and a rebellious blue blood, abandoned by her mother's wealthy family to be raised by nuns. Eve and Benny, they knew the sins and secrets behind every villager's lace curtains except their own. The circle, it widened in Dublin at the university where Benny and Eve met beautiful Nan Mahone and Jack Foley, a doctor's handsome son. But heartbreak and betrayal would bring the worlds of Knockglen and Dublin into explosive collision. Long hidden lies would emerge to test the meaning of love and the strength of ties held within the fragile gold bands of a circle of friends. This is just a lovely book, and I'm really hoping to reread this year. And while I was finding that Maeve Binchy, I also found this one, which I've actually never heard of before, which is Victoria Line Central Line. And this looks like it's all about, I think it might be sort of interconnected stories. It says, millions of people travel on London's tube every day, yet we usually only give our fellow passengers a cursory glance. But Maeve Binchy manages to infuse those nameless people with absorbing stories to provide an engrossing cross-section of London life. From Green Park to Brixton, from Shepherd's Bush to Chancery Lane, everyday life is not merely as mundane as we might think. At Notting Hill, the mysterious secretary, harboring her secrets, travels to work. At Highbury and Islington, Adam has a sudden change of heart. At Holborn, a disastrous reunion is about to take place. With her characteristic mix of compassionate humor and biting realism, Maeve Binchy enters the lives of these various travelers with outstanding results. And I believe each of the chapters, there's sections, there's the Victoria Line section and then Central Line, I guess just those two since that's the title of the book. And then underneath each of those, I believe, are different stops on the London tube. So each chapter kind of follows each of those stations, I guess. So I'll have to read it and find out exactly what it is, and then I will let you guys know. But sounds interesting, and it is one that I have never seen or even heard of before, so I was excited to find it. And then the next two books are also by another author that I have read and enjoyed. The first book is Adrien Mole, From Minor to Major by Sue Townsend, and this is actually a compilation of the first three books in the Adrien Mole series, which are The Secret Diary of Adrien Mole, age 13 3/4, The Growing Pains of Adrien Albert Mole, and True Confessions of Adrien Albert Mole. And I've read the first two books in this series. I actually still have my copies on my shelf, but I've been wanting to read more in this series and actually just go back, start it over, and read through. And then I also found the fourth book in the series, which is Adrien Mole, The Wilderness Years. So now I have the first four books in the series, and I am looking forward to going back, rereading the first two books, and then moving on and reading books 3 and 4. And I just thought I like the looks of these two sort of companion volumes, and so I thought it would be nice to have them both on my shelf. And if you don't know Adrien Mole, he is hilarious. It is basically his diaries. He's British, and the first one starts out when he's 13 3/4, and it's just so, Sue Townsend is so very funny, and she really is able to bring that sort of teenage angst to life. And I remember just laughing hysterically reading the first 2 books. So I can't wait to go back to them because I read them when I was a teenager, and it'll be fun to read them from an adult's perspective and see how funny I find them now, because I bet I will find them even more poignant and funny. I highly recommend those. If you've never read them before and you like British literature, Sue Townsend is wonderful. The next book I found, actually my mom and I were talking about mysteries the other day, and she happened to mention the Henry Tibbet mysteries by Patricia Moyes, and lo and behold, on the half-price clearance shelf, I found the second book in the series, which is Falling Star, for $1. So I had to bring it home with me. And I'm going to check, hopefully my library has the first book in the series, so I can read that one, and then I can move on and read this one. This one says, it seemed an easy enough scene for Bob Meakin to play. The handsome but aging star was to jam the eyeglasses on his nose as he rushed down the subway stairs, then look around wildly for his girl. The producer of Northburn Films thought they might be able to shoot it in one take, but with the crew in position and the camera rolling, Meakin tripped on the stairs and fell directly beneath the wheels of the incoming train. At first, this appeared to be no more than an appalling accident, but subsequent events convinced Inspector Henry Tibbet that murder was added to the script. So yeah, sounds interesting. And I love books set either in theatrical, or this is like a film production. So I think that'll be really fun. And I'm looking forward to reading some of the books in this series. I've actually read one of the much later books in this series, but I don't remember anything about it. And it's been a very long time since I read it. So looking forward to starting this from the beginning, and hopefully finding a new mystery series to enjoy. The next book was one I also found on the clearance shelf, and that was Gerald Dell's My Family and Other Animals. This is the first book in his Corfu trilogy, which is all about his family's move to Corfu and their life on the island there. And Gerald was a naturalist, and he was very interested in animals, and these books are just the stories of his family and his life. And I've seen some of the BBC TV show that they made of My Family and Other Animals, but I haven't watched the entire thing. And I think now I will read the book, and then I will go back and rewatch the show and finish it out. But I am really looking forward to this, and this is such a beautiful edition, and I think it was only $2. I mean, how could you pass that up? It doesn't even look like it's been ever read. So I'm very excited about this. And then the last book that I found at Half Price Books is the June pick for my Cozy Reader Book Club. And that is Hannah Coulter by Wendell Berry. And I've been wanting to read Wendell Berry for a long time. So I'm glad that my book club picked this as our June selection. And when I saw this on the shelf, I grabbed it. And then I didn't even realize until I got home that it's signed by Wendell Berry. So he signed this on February 16th, 2005. So that's kind of fun. This is a beautiful hardcover edition of this book. It's got a little bit of fading on it, but otherwise I was so thrilled to find this was a signed copy. How exciting. And I don't know much about this book, actually. It says, in the latest installment in Wendell Berry's long story about the citizens of Port William, Hannah Coulter remembers. Her first husband, Virgil, was declared missing in action shortly after the Battle of the Bulge, and after she married Nathan Coulter, about all he could tell Hannah about the Battle of Okinawa was ignorant boys killing each other. The community was stunned and diminished by the war, with some of its sons lost forever and others returning home determined to carry on. Now in her late 70s, twice widowed and alone, Hannah sorts through her memories of her childhood, of young love and loss, of raising children and the changing seasons. She turns her plain gaze to a community facing its long deterioration, where, she says, we feel the old fabric torn, pulling apart, and we know how much we have loved each other. Hannah offers her summation, her stories, and her gratitude for the membership in Port William and for her whole life, a part of the great continuum of love and memory, grief and strength. So that sounds interesting. And I hope I don't need to have read the other Port William novels. Has anyone else read Wendell Berry? Can you tell me, can I read this one as a standalone or should I read any of the others first? I don't know. Anyway, I am looking forward to this one as well. I have 4 more books, and all of them I purchased at my local library bookstore when I was in there the other day, and just happened to find a couple of things that looked really interesting and that I wanted for my shelf. So I found 2 adult fiction books and 2 middle grade books. So I'll share the adult fiction books first. And the first one I found is Light Thickens by Nio Marsh. I think I've mentioned before that I am looking forward to reading the Inspector Allen series from the start, and Light Thickens is one of the books in the series. It's later on in the series, and I've actually read this in the past, and this is one of her books set in the theater. It says, Macbeth is dead, run through by brave Macduff, but the real tragedy is unveiled after the final curtain, when Macbeth's grisly fate turns out to be all too authentic. Now it is up to Scotland Yard's Roderick Allen to illuminate the murderer in a play where method acting can be fatal. Oh, this was her final book, apparently. I did not know that. So I'm excited to have this one on my shelf to add to my Nio Marsh collection. I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I think I have 7 of her books, so I really should get started on reading them. Oops. The next book I purchased is another book that I have read before and want to reread, and it was a favorite when I read it way back when. Again, I believe I read this before I saw the movie, but it may have been the fact that the movie was coming out that prompted me to read it, and that was Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe by Fanny Flag. This is a fantastic Southern fiction novel. If you've never read it, I highly, highly recommend it. It says, folksy and fresh, endearing and affecting, Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe is a now classic novel about 2 women, Evelyn, who's in the sad slump of middle age, and gray-headed Mrs. Threadgood, who's telling her life story. Her tale includes 2 more women, the irrepressibly daredevilish tomboy Idgie and her friend Ruth, who back in the 30s ran a little place in Whistle Stop, Alabama, offering good coffee, Southern barbecue, and all kinds of love and laughter, even an occasional murder. And as the past unfolds, the present will never be quite the same again. Yes, I'm going to reread this summer because I love this book, and I wonder if this edition, oh, it doesn't, I don't think. My edition that I had, which I'm so mad that I got rid of because it had recipes for fried green tomatoes in the back, and I think that would be super fun to read this. I'm gonna have to track down that recipe, and maybe I'll read this and then make some fried green tomatoes because that sounds kind of fun. Okay, my last 2 books are 2 middle grade books that I found, and I've been watching Krista at Books and Jams for a very long time now, and if you know Krista, you know that she is one of the founders of Middle Grade March, and she reads a ton of middle grade books, and she has been doing a project to read through all of the Newbery Award winners, and I think that sounds like something really interesting to try to do. I've read a number of Newberys over the years, and I think it would be fun to, one, go back and reread some of the ones that I read when I was a kid, and then to read many of those that I missed out on. And I saw this one on the library bookshelf, and I decided to get it. And that is Johnny Tremaine by Esther Forbes. And this is a Revolutionary War story about Johnny. He's a young apprentice silversmith, and he is caught up in a dramatic involvement with James Otis, John Hancock, and John and Samuel Adams in the exciting currents and undercurrents that were to lead to the Boston Tea Party and the Battle of Lexington, and finally a touching resolution of Johnny's personal life. So yes, a little historical fiction. So I'm excited to read this, and it was 50 cents, so I had to pick it up. And then the last book that I found, and this, I think Kate Howard just read this and mentioned it and said that she liked it even though she's not a huge fan of Roald Dahl, and that is Dany, the Champion of the World. And I actually do really enjoy Roald Dahl, at least the few books of his that I've read. I like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Matilda and the BFG. And this one sounds like a little bit more of a straightforward middle grade story about a father and a son. And it says the hilarious adventures of Dany and the best dad a boy ever had. So that sounds like it could be a really just sweet kind of read. So I'm looking forward to this one as well. And I think that's it. That is my entire book haul. I wonder if I could like hold all of these up to show you. Okay, here's my entire book haul. Can you see that? Can I? No, let me sit there. I did it. I held them all up. So that's, oh, one of them's backwards. I hope you enjoyed this book haul, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Have you read any of these books? Is there anything here that I should prioritize? And I would love to chat with you about that down in the comments, or about anything else book related that you'd like to talk about. If you could hit that like button and subscribe if you aren't already subscribed, that would be wonderful. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back with another video very soon. Bye!